What is this? The grimoire? Which? Ah, yes, that. 'Tis cold in my tent, all alone. I see the stories they tell of Grey Warden endurance are not exaggerated. What have you there? A mirror? What? You found Flemeth's grimoire? You have returned from the wilds, alive. What news have you? You have something to say, do you? I have a thought. Do you realize that you've been smiling for hours now? I wish to ask a question of you. You remind me of an ill wind, scented with carrion. Your desire? Yes? What comes, my friend? I await your command. What do you wish of me? What do you want? I was not born such. 'Tis a skill of Flemeth's, taught over many years in the wilds. The chastened have tales of we witches, saying that we assume the forms of creatures to watch them from hiding. When a child is alone and separate from his tribe, that is when we strike, dragging the young boy kicking and screaming to our lair to be devoured. A most amusing legend. Changing her form, certainly. Devouring lost children, I cannot say. She has not done it in my experience, though in truth my lifespan is but a fraction of her own. Oh? I truly doubt that children would be worth the effort. They are filthy, smelly things full of tears and snot and trouble. That said, I cannot speak for the tastes of my mother. She has, after all, lived a very lengthy time in the wilds and done many things I know nothing of. So I assume. My mother has walked the wilds far longer than I. Who am I to suggest what things she has done and not done in her past? Why do you ask? Is there something specific you wish to know? The form of an animal is different from my own. One may study the creature, learn to move as it does, think as it does. In time, this allows one to become as it is. I gain nothing by studying another human. I already am the same as they are. I learn nothing. So the answer is no, my human form is the only one I possess. Indeed. Have you an opinion on my abilities, then? Am I an unnatural abomination to be put to the torch? Oh! You're simply full of surprises, little man, aren't you? A most practical opinion. Far more so than any man I have spoken to. Typical. What a bizarre thing to say. No doubt it would. I see. I find such opinions good to know in advance, so thank you. But enough of such talk, let us proceed lest the dust gather on us. Anyone with sufficient will. But the act of transformation is a magical one. 'Tis a spell, and thus requires a mage's talents. Indeed, you could learn the spells required, if I cared to teach you. If you had a notion to learn such a skill for yourself, sadly, you must remain disappointed. There were nights when the wilds called to me. 'Tis true. You look upon the world around you and you think you know it well. I have smelled it as a wolf, listened as a cat, prowled shadows that you never dreamed existed. But my life is as a human. I am under no illusions to the contrary. They do not shy away from me. To their senses, I believe I seem like any other of their species. As to what they think, I truly cannot say. Just as I am still human, no matter my form, they are still animals. Thus they cannot speak, even were I to ask. No, 'tis not unheard of in the remote corners of the world. There are traditions of magic outside of the circle of magi, despite what those mages would have you believe. Some of these traditions are old, indeed, passed down as carefully guarded lore from one generation to the next. The zealots of the chantry would uproot all such practitioners if they could. But as luck have it, some still exist. My mother is such a one. Not all apostates use the forbidden blood arts. Maleficarum do, but to condemn all who do not fall under the circle's thrall for the sake of what might be is a dangerous path to walk. There are those who look on the word apostate as meaning freedom. I'm shocked that you think so, being a mage of the circle as you were, but perhaps you felt a little like a caged bird as well, caught within that dark tower. I thought so. I see. An odd opinion to have, then. Have it your way. I am surprised you think so. Still, 'tis a pleasant thing to hear. Oh? Then I have no doubt your people do much to keep their talents well hidden from humans. I wonder if I was to ask one of your keepers of the origin of their magics if there would be any relation to what I was taught. Ah, this makes sense according to what I know of the elves. Alas, true. Though I suspect I have more in common with your people than my own kind. But such is how it must be. I may even ask my mother about it some day, though I doubt she would tell the truth of it even so. Such is her way. So glad I could indulge your idle curiosity, then. By others, do you mean yourself? I cannot teach you, no, but any other mages that cared to learn, yes, I could do that. Send whoever you wish my way, and I shall teach them what I can in the camp, provided they possess the will to even make the attempt. Possibly, if I had the desire to. I do not. Perhaps you should dispense with your threats. I will pass on my mother's knowledge if and when it suits me. I trust I am supposed to be shocked and dismayed by your language. Do not make me laugh. I was told to accompany you and to help you, and that I shall. Beyond that, I do not like you. I would not be here if I had a choice in the matter, and I certainly will not teach you my mother's secrets. If that means you wish to see us part company, then so be it. That is your decision to make. This may extend to the teaching of my mother's skills in time. For now, I simply do not know you well enough. I promise nothing. Then I shall teach you what I can whenever we are in camp, provided you have the will to even make the attempt, that is. I see. Let us hope that old dogs truly can learn new tricks, then. In time, I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness. For the most part, Flemeth taught me well. Would you not do the same? Your world is an unforgiving and cold place. The wilds I hail from is home to me, and I a natural denizen. I am no primitive, painted in blood and unable to speak the language. Flemeth knows much of your world and taught me well. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemeth could never have prepared me for. Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I? Oh, what luck. What is it you asked, if I grew up in the wilds? A curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemeth's tales of the world of man. I think not. I am no frail flower wilting at the first heat. I rather doubt that. Was I hurt? What manner of simpering weakling do you take me for? Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be travelling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally he was arrested. Men are always willing to believe two things about a woman. One, that she is weak, and two, that she finds him attractive. I played the weakling and battered my eyelashes at the captain of the guard. Child's play. Who cares? As I recall, he was executed. I do not know how well I lie, but I will do whatever I must in order to survive. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting? Do not speak to me of trivialities. Your culture is not so entirely different. Yes, some men have painted lines across the maps. I've seen them. I'm sure the human world is very diverse, but the differences are mostly meaningless. To begin with, yes. What is the point of touching my hand? I find it an offensive intrusion. At least with that sort of touching, I would have been able to intuit the intent with far greater ease. There were many nuances that Flemeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes. How to eat at a table. How to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemeth that I had no intention of leaving again. Yes, here I am. I have no qualm with the mission I have been set to. Flemeth was correct, like it or not. The Darkspawn are an enemy of all. You are a fine one to be pointing out the humour of fate. Shall we examine your predicament on the whole? Let's not. Me? I prefer the jest on me to the jest on you. Yes? Let's ignore the entire Darkspawn threat in the presence of a simpleton as your only other Grey Warden ally, then. Not that I lack appreciation for the intent of your comment. Thank you. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes? Beg pardon, then, while I jump for joy. Any number of cats could inform you of the answer to that question, but have it your way. I did not ask to be left alone. I simply wondered from whence comes this strange curiosity. And now you grow short with me. Curious. Have it your way, then. What a stranger does not know cannot hurt him, but have it your way. Would it not be easier simply to poke at me with a stick? I think I will elect to answer the question for now, if you do not mind. No doubt 'tis the only manner you can convince a woman to obey you. Have it your way, then. You are very cute to ask so many questions, and I am glad you are so glad. Really? Perhaps we should be wrapped in ribbons and adorned with flowers, so cute are we too. Of course I don't. 'Tis no matter. I did not realize I was being interrogated. My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more. I found the game fun. I was too young to understand the truth behind what was happening. I am unsure. I was too young to understand, and perhaps 'twas bravado on Flemeth's part, or perhaps she was merely amused. I will never know. They came with as much swagger and arrogance as they did self-righteousness. Pity them if you wish, for they held none for us. Flemeth would warn them once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed, and then the true game began. Often Flemeth would use me as bait, a little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom. 'Twas a game, and I a young girl. If I didn't get to play, I would have been very upset. Me? No, I never did any of the killing until later, and even then Flemeth was a glutton for that sort of thing. Sometimes. Eventually. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere, and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum. Would they have regretted hurting me? I was a young child. Yet do you think they would not have gleefully held my head aloft as a trophy? There are no trials for apostates, no prisons, no mercy. There are only absolutes, so only survival matters. If the wilds have taught me anything, 'tis this. First, you must survive. Do you disagree? Oh? I would ask what exactly, but I'm certain that would be a lengthy conversation, and suddenly I grow very weary. I see. Pathetic, am I? And I would have expected no less from one such as you. Lovely how hypocrisy always bubbles to the surface eventually, isn't it? An interesting answer for a mage. An enlightened view, or at least an agreeable one. An evasive answer. Either you have no opinion or will not speak of it. No matter. You do not know. The zealots use that word for any magic they do not control. The chantry sees any mages not leashed to the circle of magi as apostates, and apostates could become maleficarum, evil mages that resort to blood magic and become demon-enslaved abominations. It may even be true, still, those of us who prefer freedom see no reason to submit. I will note that we only ever defended ourselves, but if they wish to come for us, certainly. Responsibility to whom, exactly? I will point out that we lived in the middle of a remote wilderness. Granted, eventually we might become dread abominations and endanger others. Possibly. Such is simply the price that nature demands. No? I am not surprised you say such. Thank you for small favours, then, at the very least. Oh, I hope you are not simply being agreeable. It would be a refreshing change. How agreeable of you. Enough of this talk. Let us return to the task at hand. Is it true, then, that given enough time, the prisoner will learn to love the cell? I think that my mother made it fun so that a child did not learn to fear. And I think that it was necessary. Perhaps they did. Still, I do not begrudge them doing what they believe is necessary. Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be? Oh, she is certainly old. Have no mistake of that.
You mean, is she truly the Flemeth of legend and story?
Sometimes I do wonder the very same thing. Oh, she certainly was human. Once. Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
Ah, I see.
That does explain much. I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire. No doubt such a tale has mutated much over time and telling. As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful, a fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her. Many centuries before this land was even named Ferelden. The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the bard, and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conabar the jealous lord, who looked on from afar. Lord Conabar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed. The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement. Aye, it was. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement in the first place. All would have been well had Lord Conabar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge. Flemeth begged the spirits to aid her, and 'twas they who slew Conabar. The demon the legend tells of came later. Lord Conabar's allies chased Flemeth, you see, chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies. You would be surprised at how little my mother cares for what I or others think of her past. The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began. I do not believe everything that Flemeth claims. Oft it seems her bitterness has coloured her memories, but on the whole, yes, I believe this tale, if not all. The demon within her has transformed her into something else, an abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her. You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one, and these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed, so should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too. The chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts. It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well. How often is this usually? Always? If not always, then when is it not true? There are more things in this world and the next than you or I could ever hope to understand. What Flemeth became is a mystery. I suspect, even to her. Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless. Ah, then you have my sympathies, for what it is worth. Which is very little, I am certain. It matters not. Let us move on. I see. Nothing. I wish to know nothing more. I find myself a little envious, to tell the truth. But it matters not. Let us move on. Shall I say the same the next time you grow curious, then? Have it your way. If that is what you think, so be it. I have thought so on occasion myself, but there it is. That was not the point. Conabar had no honour, so she would not have him. No, quite true. But this part only. 'Twas you who made the query of Flemeth. Why ask if you do not wish to know? As you wish. I'll not tire my tongue for the ignorant. 'Tis no child's tale, I assure you. 'Tis the child abomination you speak of from the haunted castle. If what you seek is to remove the demon from the child without harming the child, there is a way indeed. There is a connection between the child and the demon, one which can be followed to the demon's true form within the Fade. There, the demon can be battled directly. Only a mage may enter the Fade. It requires lyrium and a group of mages to cast the ritual, neither of which we have, yes? And had we those things, it would still fall on one mage alone to defeat the demon. No simple task, but there you have it. I see. Let me talk then, and you shall listen. I shall be brief. What was done had to be done. I regret it not. I shall be leaving, as I said, and so this entanglement of ours must end. Do you understand? Yes. If it shall make this easier, then yes. That is all it was. An entanglement and nothing more. I should have known better. I should have maintained my distance, as I knew what was to come. It is. What happens now happens because destiny demands it. Yes. That, and perhaps some things I did not want. I should have known better. Enough. To accept this would make things far easier for you. I am sorry. But this is how it must be. Oh, you are welcome. And I am sorry. What was done had to be done. I regret it not. Let us not complicate matters further. It is. You have no idea. But let us not forget that you got something out of this as well. Your life. If you wish to spend that life being resentful of me, by all means. But it lasts only so long as the child inside me does. Now let us finish this and be done. You are free to try and stop me. I did. Yes. I see. You are welcome, and thank you. This means everything to me. You cannot know. Discuss away. What is there to speak of? Do you wish me to tell you how wonderful you are? Shall I say you are virile and manly? I prefer action over words. Why don't you prove it to me? Details, details. Words it is, then. What is it that you wish to know so badly? How we... That is a rather tiresome topic. Why are you being so tiresome? Enough. I have no patience for this sort of blather. If you wish to know something specific, I would prefer you ask it. Otherwise, leave me be. Excellent. Then this has been a very productive discussion, has it not? Let us have more of them. Good. I hate long discussions. Aye, that is me indeed. You are determined to be tiresome, are you? Oh, has my poor widow man's feelings been hurt? What do you say I kiss it and make it better? An odd question, is it not? What do you foresee? Marriage? Children? Shall we settle in the countryside? You paint the shed while I bake the bread? Are you truly serious? What do I want? You are a rather curious and frustrating man. Is what you already possess not enough? Must you always want more? Enough. I grow tired of this topic. Let us speak of it another time. Do you have something else in mind? You are the one who asked the question, as if there were somewhere for us to go. I did not say that precisely. No, never mind. And you are being very tiresome. Must you be so dour and tiresome? What is it, then, that you wish to know so badly? How sentimental you are. So you have said. Am I supposed to take this as an endearment? Yes, I shall take that as a compliment, whether intended or not. Is there more? It's a clumsy start, but we can move on to the flirting, if you like. Fair enough. I hope it was as good for you as it was for me. Charming. Please continue while I pretend not to listen. Let us continue on, then, while I think of something to rhyme. Thank you. It warms my heart to know you care so. I do know this. In fact, you have said so before. Indeed. I understand repetition is, in fact, the source of true genius. Do you have something else to say? Or is that contribution to be the only interaction I cherish for the moment? Good. Then let us contemplate our brilliance in silence. I'd prefer a few things about you as well. Let us ponder these wishes in silence, shall we? Yes, I do in fact know that. Would you like a recitation of adjectives I could use for you? I do not care what you think. Or what you think of me, for that matter. And you are a fool. Is there a reason for this sudden insult? Do you wish me to leave? Sadly, we don't all get everything we want, do we? Then I assume our discussion ends here. Ah. Too kind of you, then. You helped me avoid the fate my mother had in store for me. At the very least, I think I can aid you in return. Because I need your help with my mother, of course. Why else? I am here because Flemeth commanded me to aid you. Why? Do you wish me to leave? I can do so if you prefer. Are you sure? If I leave, I can be of no further use to you. So be it. May you find your victory on your own. Are we? Then why do you ask such a question? If you have something to ask, then ask it. I do not enjoy this dance. If I wanted to leave, then I would go. I remain, so do not ask such pointless questions. I'm assuming you are referring to our flirtation. Think nothing more of it. I certainly shall not. Nipping it in the bud, so to speak. Ah. I see. And? Ah. Our relationship, such as it is. Does this have something to do with Leliana? No, do not answer that. I do not wish to know. I will not lie to you. I have enjoyed our closeness, but if this is what you want, I will not bore you with pointless questions. So be it. But if this is what you wish, I will not draw this out further. So be it. I believe you heard me, as I did not stutter. Why, it just so happens that I find you quite warm. Come now, my Grey Warden. Must it be so complicated? Is there any reason not to? So true, so true. So you shall come to my tent? But whatever shall we do in that tiny little space together while we wait for it to warm? Tawdry! What an odd thing to say. Have it your way then, and sleep on your own. Must I joke? Must it be so difficult for two who are out here alone to come together? Ah, that is too bad. No? Well then, you cannot blame one for trying, can you? Good. Then let us waste no more time with foolish talk. Perhaps 'tis only the scent I perceive, but 'tis there nevertheless. If it pleases you, you may recite the list to me at will. There was a time when I thought you might be interesting, but it seems you are much the same as any other man. More's the pity. I think not. Because something must be amiss with me in order to refuse your charms. You'll have to forgive me if I do not leap at your command like a trained warhound. I do not wish to discuss it. Leave me be. Indeed, the moment I begin to act the lover or the wife is the exact moment we need to end this charade. Better than acting the lover or the obedient wife, no? Allow me to spare you such pains in the future, then, for both our sakes. Simply because I have warmed your bedroll before does not mean I am beholden to do so at every snap of your fingers. Your mistake, indeed. The waking sea could freeze over, and it would be too soon. So now you slink away, tail between your legs. Is that how it is to be now? I said no. Leave me be if that is your only interest. Perhaps. Shall I consult my capricious nature and divine an answer for you? I am to be indulged. How exciting. Let me think. Very well. It shall be as you wish, voracious as your appetite may be. I say not. You are denied. Another time, my sweet, for now I shall leisurely pretend disinterest. Am I to be interrogated? However shall you wring my secrets from me? Why, yes, sir. I always follow orders, swiftly and to the letter. Never. You will have to carry me. Come now. You'll make Alistair blush. Spurned. Truly? Oh, whatever shall I do? What a wicked, wicked man you are. Shall I take that as a proposition? How direct. Let us hope your other efforts are more drawn out. Of course you were. I suspect you spend your nights chuckling merrily away to yourself. Alone. Tawdry. So you have another reason to invite me to your tent. Am I to mend a tear, perhaps? But have it your way. Sleep alone in the chill night air if it pleases you to do so. Oh, no? For what reason, then, shall I join you in your tent? Have you something to show me? I see. Let's make certain we do not burn it down, then, shall we? For you, my lovely Grey Warden, I shall risk even redemption. Yes, I am evil, and I need to be punished. Yes, sir, Grey Warden, sir. First you are hot, then you are cold. Games are so fun to play, are they not? Why? Is there anything at all in your tent I would find interesting? Ah, I see. Very well. Let us start there and work our way down. And ending with you, I imagine? Another time, perhaps. As I recall, that is your game and not mine. Then why do you keep asking? Not at all. Legends abound regarding such figures as Garahel, sordid though they may be. Indeed there are. The unanswered question, of course, is whether the endurance exists because of the taint within you, or because the Grey Wardens are by nature so very healthy. I enjoy the thought that 'tis a little of both. Natural prowess, driven by a darker side. That is entirely up to you. Simply know that I have no designs on your independence. I wish only to do what I desire, and if that coincides with what you desire, then so be it. Oh, finished with me now, are you? Well, you do not get away so easily as that. I will have my way with you until I am satisfied, out of a sense of fairness, if nothing else. Nothing at all. I simply like making things difficult for you. I wouldn't be so quick to imagine the best. My notions can run to the painfully perverse. Not really. More of a sense of perversity, truth be told. And should you decide not to continue our misadventure, then so be it. Very simple, is it not? Then so be it. Oh, now you ruin the mood by speaking profanities. Silly man. I do like to keep it simple. Just for you, of course. Then we should get along marvellously. Come then, let us be off before the others begin to stare. Ah, such wit! Truly, you and Mother should form a troupe of jesters and tour the countryside. We have an opportunity that I believe we should take advantage of. To the point. My mother was once divested of a particular grimoire by a most annoying Templar hunter. It occurred long before I was born, but even today Flemeth speaks of the loss with great rage. With the circle of magi in such disarray, it occurs to me that this might be the perfect time to recover the tome from their possession, for surely it eventually ended up in their hands. Flemeth is a sorceress of legend, is she not? And her grimoire would be more than a mere curiosity to mages that daren't even glance towards the places my mother has walked for eons. No doubt 'tis considered something dangerous, perhaps best locked away somewhere dark, yes? And if not, then at least I know it does not exist. But there is no harm in looking, surely. 'Tis a book of spells, of the sort that Flemeth has dabbled with throughout her long life. Not the sort of thing that would benefit a mage such as yourself, perhaps, for you were taught a different path. I, however, was taught by my mother. 'Tis not the sort of thing that would benefit a mage of the standard variety. They were taught a different path. I, however, was taught by my mother. I know a way around the wards my mother would have placed on such a tome. I know the language that she would have written it in. I would find such a tome most useful. Useful in the way that it might increase my power. Useful in the way that I would become more useful to you. Does that not follow? Dangerous? All knowledge is potentially dangerous. If you have some fear of me such that I should not be allowed such knowledge, then by all means deprive me of it. I have no ulterior motive for seeking it, however. I did not think of it earlier. Truly, Mother has assumed for a long time that the tome was lost forever. I only remembered it now after thinking what treasures might be found in the Circle of Magi's tower now in its condition. Oh, I did not realize that your needs were so much more urgent than my own. I would wish to be the very last one that bored you with long-winded tales and petty questions. As you wish. I am not being defensive. I simply did not realize that this was all about you. Now I know otherwise. Then I shall endeavor to make your every waking moment as utterly exciting as possible. But when I spoke of it to you, I did not truly hope... This is a most fortuitous event. Ever since we discovered the condition of the Major's tower, I had wondered if it might be recoverable, but I had yet to speak of it to you. How fortunate that you found it on your own. It did not occur to me when we were still in the Mage Tower. I wish it had. My eternal gratitude? At the very least, it shall enable me to help you more. If that is not enough, you can certainly dictate other rewards. At the very least, it shall enable me to help you more. Or were you perhaps looking for some other reward? I have no wealth that is not yours. If my aid is not enough, then I have little more to offer. As you wish. Then something will have to be done about that sometime. At the very least, it shall enable me to help you more. Is that not worthwhile? Good. I am most interested to see its contents, should it be located. The grimoire is leather-bound and adorned with the symbol of a leafless tree, should you come across it. If not, however, then I shall simply put it out of my mind. But we have time to hunt for everything else, under every rock and inside every chest, yes? Have it your way. You have my thanks. I will begin study of the tome immediately. Secrets. My mother has many of them, and this tome represents the one time that they were able to get away from her. I suppose something is deserved for all your efforts, is it not? Oh, I don't know. That seems like a steep reward to ask for. Oh? As you wish, then. You could be right. Let us test the theory. There. Compensation requested and provided. Indeed, for I always do. Return it? Indeed not. This tome represents the one time any of my mother's secrets were able to get away from her. I do not intend to squander this opportunity to learn more than Flemeth wished me to know. This should be interesting.